Good morning to you all. Mr. Siminya.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to the commissioners as well. Today we've scheduled two witnesses, starting with Advocate Mashabani, who will
No, Mashabani was yesterday.
Advocate Sindani, sorry, as well as
Who? Advocate?
Sindani. Miss
Or are we
Sindani.
starting with Ms. Sindani? Yes.
The other witness will have virtually later, Chair, for the day.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Sindani, are you going to give your evidence? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Are you going to give your evidence under oath or affirmation?
Under oath.
Do you swear that the evidence you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, raise your right hand and say, so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Ms. Rangata.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to you, Chair, and the commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning, Ms. Ndani.
Good morning.
Welcome, and thank you for coming to the commission and to assist the commission with its work. We really appreciate your time. We are going to start with your evidence, and I would like to take you straight to the bundle that is in front of you, your statement or a document that appears as a statement or affidavit of Teresa Nonkululeko Sindani, which appears on page 2342 of that bundle. Are you there? Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Is that your affidavit?
Yes, it is.
All right. If you go to page 2346, there is a signature there. Would you confirm that to be your signature?
I do.
Would you then confirm that this affidavit represents your evidence and it is your evidence to this commission?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. We will then start by yourself introducing yourself to the commissioners. In that context, you can speak very shortly about your employment and your educational background.
Thank you very much. Do I switch this thing on?
It's already on. You can speak.
All right. Thank you. So my name is Teresa Nonkululeko Sindane. I am currently employed by a company, which is a private company in the civil engineering space. But that's all I'm willing to say about that company for the purposes of this.
Thank you.
Prior to being employed by this company, I've been in the company now 10 years exactly. Prior to being employed by my current company, I was employed as the Director General in the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. I started with the Department of Justice, if I can just call it Justice. I started my employment there in January of 2010. And I completed my term. My first term was a 3-year term. I completed my term, and then I got an extension, which led to me leaving in 2016. So that's where I would like to leave exactly my term of office. Now, just to specify the responsibilities I was employed to do, the department employs the Director General in line with and in terms with the Public Service Commission Act.
Sorry, just to interrupt a little bit. You mentioned that you were employed by the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, and as you say that you will leave it as Department of Justice, and I'll also follow suit.
Yeah.
So you were employed by the Department of Justice from 2010 as the Director General.
Yes.
On a term of a 3-year term.
Yes.
Which would have lapsed in 2013.
Yes.
And who was the minister at that time?
It
Minister of
was
Justice.
Minister Jeff Khateb.
All right. Okay, thank you. What were the conditions of your extension? Were you going to be extended for another term?
Yes, it was extended for another 3-year term.
All right, all right. Thank you very much. And am I correct
And the
that?
minister was Masuta there.
Masuta came
Later.
later.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but he was my boss as well, but it was later
Okay.
than that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just to be clear, in 2015, between 2015 and 2016, that's the period where you then reported your new minister was Minister Masuta.
20?
15, 2016.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll now go back to your affidavit on page 2342. And you state the reason why you are here before this commission, that you have received a request for information, which, just for clarity, we can accept that you are not an implicated person to this commission. You are a person that has been identified as a person of importance to share information. So you've received a request for information in terms of Rule 3.1 of the rules of the Commission.
Thank you. Good to know.
Yes. And you state under paragraph 3, you outline the reason why you're here, and you make reference in the next page, which is 2343, under paragraph 4, you restate the terms of reference of this commission. And you go further under paragraph 5, which I would like you to read into the record, where you deal with the specific request that you have received from this commission, which is paragraph 5, 6, and 7. Would you please read that into the record?
Paragraph 5. Did you say paragraph 5?
Paragraph 5, yes.
Okay. The letter further requested that I assist the commission and furnish it with an affidavit that addresses my knowledge of relevant events and matters. In particular, my affidavit should set out 5.1, my role and responsibilities as the Director General of the department in relation to TRC cases. 5.2, the manner in which I supported the ministry in the day-to-day operations concerning TRC cases, including any oversight, coordination, advisory, administrative, or decision-making functions performed by me.
Can you proceed? 6 and 7.
Paragraph 6, my overall involvement in and contribution to the management, investigation, prosecution, monitoring, or administration of TRC cases, including the steps taken by me in the execution of my responsibilities. And paragraph 7, any additional information that may assist the Commission in understanding my role, responsibilities, and involvement in matters relating to TRC cases during my tenure.
Thank you. And you speak about your responsibilities in paragraph 8.3 on that page 2343, and you state your responsibilities to include operational, strategic policy development and implementation and overall management, including accountability for the overall budget of the department. And you state your responsibility entails oversight of the management and the use of the budget by the entities then reporting to the Department of Justice and CD and Correctional and Constitutional Development, of which the National Prosecuting Authority, NPA in brackets, was but one. That is your responsibility as the DG.
Yes.
Can you take this commission to the relevant provisions or the legislation that empowers you, the enabling provisions that enables you to carry out your responsibilities as the DG? And I'm going to, just to make it easier for you, I'm going to lead you to section 7 of the Public Service Act. And I would like you in particular to speak to section 7(3). You can deal with A and B for the purpose of this commission. Did you find it?
Yes, I'm almost there. Thank you.
Alright. Yes.
So, may I just confirm that you want me to read section 7?
Yes, you don't have to read the entire section. You can speak to the relevant provisions, which is 7(1) and 2, but in particular, I want you to deal with 3, subsection B.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So my appointment, I would confirm that I was appointed under the provisions of the Public Service Act, which if any transgressions that I would have committed, if any, I would then have had to be dealt with through the Public Service Commission. The second paragraph, or section 3A of the Act, maybe I'll read it. Each department shall have a head who shall be the incumbent of the post on the establishment bearing designation mentioned in column 2 of Schedule 1, 2, or 3 opposite the name of the department. So, and then if I move to B, subject to the provisions of paragraph C and D, a head of department shall be responsible for the efficient management and administration of his or her department, including the effective utilization and training of staff, the maintenance of discipline, the promotion of sound labor relations, and the proper use of proper use and care of state property, and he or she shall perform the functions that may be prescribed. So effectively, the meaning and my understanding and how I performed these responsibilities was in line with the provisions of the Public Service Act. And if I were to just articulate them in summary, it's the overall administration of the personnel, which will include the recruitment, the issues of discipline, the issues of management of performance by the employees in the department, and related issues. So that will be one of the responsibilities that I would have held. The second, obviously, would deal with issues of their career incidences, which will be your promotions and related issues, and then including, obviously, issues of discipline if things did not go according to plan. And then the overall administration and the etiquette, the demeanor, the ethics that were prevailing at the time in the Department of Justice, those would have been my responsibilities. Thank you.
All right.
Yes,
So-
Ms. Indani, try to face the chair when you speak, except, of course, when you read. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, indeed. You're speaking to the commissioners, not to me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You speak about your role and your responsibilities as empowered by Section 7 of the PSA, and you describe it more in particular in paragraph 8.5, and you classify it as administrative function, which is definitely not prosecutorial functions. Can you distinguish between the two? In particular, I would like to draw you closer when you speak, that you make a closer reference that you, as an accounting officer and as a DG of the Department of Justice, of importance is your relationship or the department's relationship with the office of the NPA, and what will be that relation, and how do you then bring it closer in terms of your functions, how you would have related and what those administrative functions would have to be exercised over the NPA.
Thank you. Excuse me. The relationship, maybe let me start with my responsibilities. My responsibilities were administrative in nature. And this means that everything that we needed to do in relation to the NPA was administrative. So this speaks to issues relating to, as an example, the accommodation, issues of rent, and all of those issues, which are really truly administrative, including, among others, ensuring that the NPA does provide the reports that it should provide. Not that the reports are coming to me, but the NPA must submit reports as is required in terms of the Act, and sometimes as per the request of Parliament, which normally was routed direct to the department, to the DG of the Department of Justice, and that then I needed to communicate to the NPA and all other entities that the Department of Justice was responsible for. So as an example, that would then be the administrative responsibilities. It wouldn't go to the heart of the mandate of the NPA, which is of a prosecutorial in nature. And so that was not my responsibility. My responsibility was the support around that. And in particular, the NPA had the CEO at the time, and who was acting, I must say. So the CEO and myself would then discuss issues that would be relating to the types of needs of an administrative nature that they would have needed.
All right, thank you for that. Would your role then as well include issues of budgeting?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So maybe I need to explain how budget works in the public sector, or at least it used to work 10 years ago.
Sorry to interrupt. Maybe before you speak to that, you can read just for context and for you, then you can explain on paragraph 8.5. You can read the entire paragraph. I think it puts your response in more clearer detail.
Thank you very much. The NPA's administrative functions, specifically, not the prosecutorial functions, reported to the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development through the DOJ's NCD on issues, one, of budgeting and budget compliance, expenditure management, general compliance, and related matters. This means that during budget allocation process by the Budget Office of the National Treasury, the Director General of the department and the CEO of the NPA, a position which was also administrative in nature, would attend the budget allocation discussions led by National Treasury as one team. The Director General of the Department of Justice led these discussions from the side of the Justice family. So there is this process where, during the MTF, where we get invited as departments to go and present to National Treasury the needs, the financial needs that is, of the department. And the NPA would then be there represented by their CEO, and we will then speak to the needs of the department within that context.
So, having said that, would you then say that you would not at any given moment have the expectation of having to make provision for the budgetary issues of the NPA within the department's budget?
Thank you. You are correct. The numbers that ultimately make it to National Treasury, we as all organs of government, not state, of all organs of government, we would receive a written communication from National Treasury providing parameters within which we must submit a budget and issues that are included, not included, whatever needs to be explained. And that communication will come to my office as the DG, and it will also be shared with a National Prosecuting Authority so that they know what the requirements are for submitting the budget, the timelines, and roughly what is expected to go into the numbers. The only thing that is not provided for is the quantum that you must provide X. But overall, on anything else associated with the budget, it will be in that communication from National Treasury, which is shared. We then discuss the numbers, obviously, with the National Prosecuting Authority's CEO, where we then say, well, she will tell us, these are the numbers, we will say, these are our numbers, and then those numbers are combined, and then they go to National Treasury. But even though they are combined, they are still articulated separately, such that there is a very clear determination of which numbers are whose in the bigger scheme of things, so that the DG couldn't, as an example, and I'm using a weird example, couldn't increase the departmental budget and reduce the NPA budget that would have been provided to the DG by the NPA. So that budget will go as is. It is only through the negotiations that happen, led by National Treasury, when they say, cut a little bit here, cut a little bit there, then each, between us, NPA and ourselves as the department, we will then adjust the budget according to the instructions that we are being given by National Treasury. So that's how the budgeting process works.
Thank you. Would you then accept and recognize the provisions of, I'm not going to take you there, I'm just going to read for the record, that is the National Prosecuting Authority Act, Section 36(2). Would you then recognize what 36(2) says, that the Department of Justice must, in consultation with the National Director, prepare the necessary estimate of revenue and expenditure of the prosecuting authority? Will that be in line with your evidence?
Yes, it would be, except that the discussions would happen with the CEO specifically, because those numbers would have been engaged between the CEO and the National Director of Public Prosecutions. So what ultimately leaves the NPA to come to the Department of Justice has been engaged sufficiently, looking at the needs, looking at the portfolio, looking at the mandate, looking at the administrative support that is required to deliver, looking at everything to do with the NPA. Those numbers, by the time they arrive at the Department of Justice, they would have taken care of all those needs. Because partly they're not, because, my
No,
apologies.
I think Ms. Baiting is magnetic.
I'm enjoying the attention when she looks at me, Commissioner, so I even forget that she shouldn't be speaking to me. Sorry about that, I apologize.
Yeah, we apologize. All right, so because, remember I had indicated that National Treasury provides us with the guideline of what needs to go into the budget. So we all have the guidelines. So we then use those guidelines to prepare the numbers that must ultimately then be submitted to National Treasury. So the NPA, through the CEO, would have engaged internally within the NPA, looking at what the needs are and what is required, and how much of that is required in the short term, mid-term, and in the long term, which is generally the principles of budgeting. And only after that those numbers are then provided. And they are generally not changed. If there would have been a need for a change, that change would have been communicated to the NPA. But in general, those numbers, if those changes will be done if National Treasury, we submit the budget and National Treasury will say, your numbers are too high. go back, review. And then we will go back and review, all of us as entities that report to the Department of Justice, as well as the department itself. So there's no risk that an entity could be cut because the department wants to have more money. Everyone cuts according to the envelope that they have been given. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, you're not misbiting, you miss Ranak.
Rangata.
Ranak.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you,
sorry.
Commissioner Homo.
Sorry.
Thank
yes.
you, thank you. I didn't even realize that you didn't say Miss Rangata. I appreciate. Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Ndani, you correctly point in your statement that you are also before this commission to share your knowledge or any information that you might have relating to this TRC cases and relevant to this very same issue of the office that you're holding as the accounting officer and being responsible and the overseer of the budget, which you will have, obviously, as you've said, that you're working hand in hand with the CEO within the NPA. Would you at any time would have been faced or been received a request for a consideration for any matters that might have been need to be accommodated within your budget that had that were within the NPA? Would you have been at any given time been aware of any budgetary issues or restrictions that might have required your involvement in relation to the TRC cases? Maybe just to give you a bit of context, we keep on saying the TRC cases. This commission is sitting today because the NPA have accepted the mandate to deal with the investigation or to oversee and make sure that this investigation and prosecution of TRC cases. And in accepting that responsibility, the TRC cases were declared priority crimes, as you would have known, and that would have meant an extra financial burden to the department as well as to the NPA. Would you recognize the fact that there would have been some recommendation or some budget increase to accommodate this very nature of the priority crimes?
Thank you very much. I would definitely recognize that. From a budgeting perspective, there is always, obviously, a need for a special request if a request could be made legitimately, as an example, to the Budget Office, National Treasury. So that's the first thing. The second, which I think is most important, is that there is never adequate funds to be allocated to all departments and everyone who needs funds from National Treasury. So normally what happens in practice is that National Treasury will ask you to do a virement, which is you move funds according to priority within the envelope that you had already been given. So if you receive 15 billion, as would have been the case around that time, or 12 or whatever the number was, if you think as the department you want to prioritize certain, you need funds for certain things that would not have been accommodated by that envelope that you were given for the year, you then reprioritize within the existing budget that you had already been given and approved to then accommodate the things that you think you need to do but were not included in the budget or were not sufficiently accommodated in what was approved by National Treasury. Now, that's how it works, and I think it's the fairest way of ensuring that once the budget is approved, the national budget is approved and tabled in Parliament, there are no other sources of funds that are going to come from Treasury until the July-August revision period. in terms of what need, if there are different needs, then they will only be considered during the revision period. So there are two budget processes. The one is the first budget that covers you for the whole year, and if there are shortfalls in the budget or whatever problems are in the budget, then there is an opportunity, another window, which happens around July, August, if it still happens around that time. That's when the revision of the budget happens. Invariably, that revision does not always mean that you will get more funds. Sometimes in the revision, you lose funds in some programs. So some programs will gain. So basically what happens is that they revise what you already have and say, you are having this, so we will take from here, we will give to there. So in the final analysis, it's not like it's new money. Yes, you do get a little bit of new money, but as you get it, it gets cut elsewhere. Because, I mean, Treasury must balance the numbers in the final analysis. So coming back to the question then, if NPA had requested, first let me specifically say that there was no specific request that was extraordinary from the department to provide for the TRC cases, the prosecution of the TRC cases. There was no specific request that I can recall. Maybe my recollection is not that great, but I cannot recall specifically a request for the prosecution, the funding to prosecute TRC cases. Now, that's the one thing I want to say. The second, related to that, if the NPA would have required additional funding for additional prosecutors, investigators, and whomsoever else, or whatsoever else capacity that they would have needed, then that capacity would have had to be accommodated in the budget that was already there for the NPA, and then revised, obviously, during the revision period that I spoke about. And that's how things work, because it's not as if National Treasury has abundance of money. They don't. So we have to be responsible as the various departments and entities within government to find solutions within what we have already been allocated. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think you have exhausted that topic on the budgeting, and am I correct that in your evidence you make a point that you are not aware of any request out of the ordinary to make provision for any additional work of the NPA that you would have been aware of within the department?
I confirm.
Thank you. We then proceed to paragraph 8.6 of your affidavit, where you make the point that you had no involvement on matters, prosecutorial matters within the NPA, and you state just towards the end of that paragraph that consequently, I, as then DG, Director General, never had discussions with any of the NDPP on the substantive matters relating to the cases to be prosecuted or not prosecuted. The reports I received from the CEO of the NPA provided the statistics that went into the ministerial reports, not specified specific cases. Do you want to speak to that part of your affidavit? And when you do that, you can then explain to the commissioners the process of reporting, and what would you then, how would you interact with the CEO within the NPA and preparation of that report, and what will be contained in your report to the extent that the NPA matters, in particular the TRC cases, if any, can make any way to your report.
Thank you very much. Maybe what I can speak to first before answering the question is that there were matters that relating to the TRC that we saw as a department, we received a lot of feedback on. And those matters were not prosecutorial matters, so they were not cases. So it would be issues like your exhumations, it would be issues like your reparations, your housing needs, and related issues. So those we saw. And you will also see which I will make available in all the reports, annual reports of the Department of Justice. We do touch on those responsibilities. The actual exhumations and related matters were not done by the department necessarily, nor did the department have direct oversight over those exhumations. The exhumations were done by the NPA. There was a specific directorate that was responsible for exhumations and related matters. So I just want to clarify so that you don't think I am disowning anything and everything that was done by the NPA, perhaps with the Department of Justice. So there was that relationship. Where there was no relationship whatsoever in terms of responsibility of the Department of Justice to talk to the NPA was on matters that are being prosecuted, TRC or any other matter for that matter, because that's the sole mandate of the National Director of Public Prosecutions. So there were no discussions relating to prosecute these cases, don't prosecute these cases, because there was no authority on me as a person and as a Director General to be engaging in that level of conversation with the National Director of Public Prosecutions. And that never happened, not once, never happened, and it was not required to happen. So it didn't happen.
Thank you. And you say that you will provide the annual reporting from 2010, that is from the commencement of your term of office as the DG until 2016 to the commission. And what will we read from those reports relevant to this commission?
What the commission would read from those annual reports is exactly what I've specified. Matters of exhumations, matters of repatriations of remains from wherever they would have been back to South Africa, events and celebrations that would have taken place. And I think roughly those would be the key matters that would be in the reports.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move quicker. We are on paragraph 8.7 of your affidavit. You make a point on paragraph 8.7. You say the NPA was independent from the authority of the Director General of the DOJ and CD, which is the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. This meant that the Director General could not direct or instruct the NDPP on whether to prosecute any person identified by the NPA for prosecution, whether for the TRC cases or any other cases, howsoever arising for that matter. I think you've already spoken to that.
I confirm.
Yes. 8.8, you talk about the independence of the NPA as the institution meaning that the NDPP reported directly to the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, and this reporting was direct and not through the Office of the Director General. I just want to get some clarity from you on this specific paragraph, whether amongst the delegated responsibility or authority of the Minister, would you have at any time at a strategic level be delegated to deal with any matters arising from the TRC cases within the NPA?
No, I wouldn't. Never was. For this reason, the responsibility of prosecuting cases vests with the NDPP. The minister has oversight over the NDPP. The DG and the NDPP just happened to coexist, but there was no responsibility of one over the other. So I never had any responsibility of or over the NDPP to have communications in relation to the functions of the NDPP. We were collegial, we spoke about many things, but that's pretty much what it was.
Thank you. You make the point in paragraph 8.9 that you have no knowledge or influence over the decision of the NDPP. And you also state in 8.10 that the NDPP or any prosecutor who required to discuss any matters of any prosecutorial nature did not go through the Director General to discuss such matters with the Minister of Justice of Constitutional Development. I want to take you to paragraph 8.11. You make a point that within your tenure, there have been 5 different NDPPs. You've also been fair, you're noting the 2 acting NDPP being Advocate Nomkobo Jiba and Advocate or Dr. Silas Ramayide. When one reads this paragraph, you shrink and you ask if this would have any impact within the workings, in particular within the NPA, and how you would have reacted, because you have stated under your evidence that you do build that relationship because you have to speak to them on certain matters, administrative, budgetary issues. Would that have an impact in terms of the change of the office of the NDPP?
Yes, I think it would have had an impact, in some areas a significant impact, because obviously before the NDPP appreciates fully the relationship between the NPA and the department, the expectations, the reporting arrangements and all of those things, no sooner do they get to understand that they are moving, they are living. So that would have presented challenges, but it also would have presented, and I'm not saying as a matter of fact, because this is not tested anywhere, but it would also have presented an opportunity for lack of continuity in terms of the conversations that were taking place, but also in terms of what would have been required by the NPA from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, because that turnover is too high by anyone's standards. One may even argue that perhaps because some of these people, in fact all of them, were already in the NPA system, perhaps except for Advocate Mxoli Singmasana at the time, all of the remaining ones were already in the system at the time. There is a huge difference, I would argue, between someone who's already in the system but not acting in that role and not playing that role, and someone who just understands where it changes. When I was a DDG, I understood what a DDG needed to do. I only became aware of what the DG needed to do when I was a DG. So I would argue that even if these people were already in the system, the responsibility, the heightened responsibility of the NDPP would have come at a great learning for them as well. But that's my assertion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are now at the conclusion of your evidence. And to do justice to your conclusion, I'm going to allow you to read paragraph 8.12, 8.13, and 8.14, concluding your evidence, and in particular on your knowledge or involvement on TRC cases or matters.
Thank you. 8.12. I was never in any meetings with any of the above NDPPs and acting NDPPs where a discussion was held with the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development on specific cases considered for prosecution in general or on the prosecution of TRC cases. If there were discussions on the TRC matters, I am not aware of those discussions and ought not have been aware of such discussions because I did not have a mandate over prosecutions of cases.
8.13.
8.13, I am not aware of the discussions or meetings held by the NDPP with the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development or the outcome of such meetings, as I was not entitled to that information either from the Minister or the NDPP.
8.14.
8.14, I therefore conclude that I am not aware of any discussions or resolutions taken at any meeting of the NDPP with the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development on decisions on whether to prosecute TRC cases.
So if one was to ask you, in conclusion, that the evidence that has been placed before this commission is that those allegations that they are or there might be efforts by various institutions or individuals to stop the investigation or prosecution of the TRC cases, and one was to ask you about your involvement or knowledge, what would your answer be in short?
My answer would be I was never involved. There was never a reason for me to be involved, and therefore I would say that information is inaccurate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, that is the evidence of this witness.
Ms. Sindani, who did you replace as DG? Who was your predecessor in the role?
Advocate Menzi Simelan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Moroka, any clarificatory questions?
I believe one, Chair. Good morning. I did say long time no see to you, Sandra. It really relates to budgets and budget allocations. Would I be correct to say that all state institutions go into these negotiations to try and get the best deal for themselves? That really was what happens. And health will do the same, education will do the same, justice will do the same. And poor Mr. Godongwane or Nene or whoever was the Minister of Finance then tries to satisfy everybody and satisfy nobody. That really is the reality of budget and budget allocations. You were asked a question about the fact that the NPA then created a PCLU, which then talks to the need for more budget allocation. Do you remember that question? That it necessarily means there's a capacity need which must then be filled, and you agreed. But then you explained, and I wanted to really unpack that explanation, that whether you increase the numbers in your own department or you create a sub sector in that specific department, the budget must still balance, as it were. and it's not as if, as you said...
Sorry to interject. I think you must respond. I see you're shaking your head, so you're not getting onto the record.
Okay. Thank you. I confirm that the numbers are what they are. They are what you receive. I think the drill is known, that you plan. By the time you go to National Treasury, invariably you already know what the answer is going to be. You get a percentage increase and you work within that percentage increase. And invariably that percentage increase is taken by inflation and everything that is associated with that. So at face value, it does appear like it's a lot of money that you received, but actually that money is already spoken for. So that is what I was trying to explain.
No, and I perfectly agree with you. I just wanted that clarity be known, that it's not about what you do in your specific department to create a specific unit that will do specific things. Whatever it is that you create, you must cut your cloth accordingly.
According to size.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I agree.
Thank you, Ms. Moroka. Mr. Lukele?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I must say I appeared together with Mr. Nkogo. They are online. Yesterday they had trouble in speaking because of the audio issues. For now, they have not indicated if they have any questions. The only questions maybe I might just have for Ms. Sindane is one, for clarification purposes. She referred, Ms. Sindane, good morning, I'm not sure if you can see. You referred to a report earlier on about 2010 that deals with where it indicates what was spent on exhumation and repatriation. You recall that?
Yes.
I just want to, for clarification purposes, if that report, does it also indicate TRC matters which were prosecuted or not prosecuted, or it only specifically deals with exhumation and repatriation?
Thank you very much. Just to clarify again, the prosecutorial responsibilities the department would not report on, and therefore the annual report of the department would not speak to the prosecution of the TRC cases. It will speak to some areas that the department would be collaborating with the NPA on, and those matters I've already indicated, your exhumations and related matters, excluding prosecutions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lukele. Do we have anyone online? Thank you, Mr. Van.
Yes, Chair. Yes, Chair. This is Ms. Ntambeleni. I do not have any questions for this witness.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is Ms. Mchizana. I do not have any questions for the witness.
Thank you. Mr. Vani?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, we've come across 4 documents in which Ms. Sindani is mentioned. 3 of them we only received from the evidence leaders on Friday, so this was post the statement that Ms. Sindani made. The documents haven't been put to her and she hasn't had sight of the documents, so it would be unfair to her to pose questions on those documents. So in the circumstances, we would beg leave to apply to cross-examine
Yes.
this witness and put up those documents, and we undertake to let you have that application in the next 2 or 3 days before the end of this week.
Okay. Okay, fine.
Sorry, I have some questions when he said yes. Okay. Good morning, Ms. Sindani.
Morning.
Well, I think you were my wife's boss and she gave you some problems. You knew me through her. I was her dependent. Ms. Sindani, the CEO of the MPA wasn't an accounting officer. The DG was the accounting officer. Would that be correct?
Yes, it is correct.
And if there was a need, say, for personnel or personnel capacity or resources or the tools of trade, would the CEO or the office of the NPA direct their request to Treasury through the DG?
Yes, whether the CEO was there or not, yes, their requests would have been directed through the Office of the DG to the National Treasury. And that is what was happening. The requests that would have been received would have been treated in that fashion.
And I suppose through your experience and your position, would you also make some inputs or even assist them where you think that their motivation was maybe lacking?
In the final analysis, there's one budget. It just goes to different corners within the justice family. So practically what that means is that if there were needs of the NPA that were extraordinary, then that conversation would happen. And from that conversation, then perhaps the department would pull back in terms of what the department needs would be, which didn't happen in this particular case. I'm just speaking hypothetically. That would then happen. But to my recollection, and I would argue that I think it's as best as I can give to this commission, I do not recall any extraordinary needs that would have come to the DG for budgeting purposes.
And if some austerity measures are imposed, as it has happened, can't recall the years, where departments may even be requested to not spend their entire allocation. How does the DG and the MPA deal with that? Or how would they deal with that? Because the money of the MPA, I assume, would be ring-fenced, not so.
Yes. So practically, the department has its own allocation. The NPA has its own allocation. If there is a saving in one, it doesn't necessarily mean that saving goes to the next. In other words, between the two of the entities. At least between the budgeting, the budget allocation process where the minister takes the budget to Parliament, the Minister of Finance takes it to Parliament. Once that process has ended, it's closed. You can't now move funds. Any moving of funds has to be sanctioned by National Treasury. And so we would have had to seek permission to move funds from one side to the next and vice versa. The only time that you then can, if there were concessions to be made, you can make concessions, and there were many concessions made. It would be during the midterm review. During that period, then funds can be moved. But in general, they don't move significantly because it's already funds that are spoken to. It's already responsibilities that are being undertaken already because by then it's mid-year. So you have to decide, do you stop a court from being built and then allocate funds elsewhere? Or whatever other responsibilities that those funds would have been earmarked for. So that's basically how it works.
Okay. Just on the question also of reparations, the TRC Commission also recommended reparations. Let me ask it this way first. How did you deal with the issue of reparations, you refer to it.
Thank you. Sometimes when we say this in English and we say reparations, it sounds like it was a lot of money. Actually, it wasn't. To be honest, it was only 30,000 rand that was regarded as reparations in financial terms. So it wasn't a lot of money. So that is the first thing. So the reparations would have gone through a process where TRC victims would have applied and provided the information that is specified. If that information was provided, those reparations would have been made directly to those TRC victims. So that's basically all that there was to it. There were issues of housing and similar issues. So in terms of matters pertaining to housing, to the best of my knowledge, there was no funding allocated for the housing needs of the TRC victims necessarily. So ultimately, when the Department of Military Veterans was established, which was much later from the time of the TRC to then, one of the expectations sometimes discussed was that they would also look out for providing accommodation. Whether that happened, I wouldn't know. I don't recall any during my tenure, but then the department was new. It hadn't started functioning in a manner that was expected. So maybe it has happened since. I wouldn't know that. Thank you.
Yes. And as part of the terms of reference, and which is also why the Galata group asked for, and the president obliged, we are supposed to look at constitutional compensation. It seems we may hit a brick wall, but I would want your comment on us, the commission, looking at constitutional reparation. Any comments, if you can?
Maybe let me say I wouldn't be able to comment because I do not understand what constitutional reparations mean. So it will be venturing to guess on something that I'm not qualified to speak about, simply because I just don't understand it.
Fair
Thank you.
enough. Fair enough. It is before the courts. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Sindani, thank you for your evidence. I just want to ask you, you've made it perfectly clear in your affidavit that you had no role to play in the prosecutorial decision-making process of the NPA. And you've also made it clear in your affidavit that that reporting was directly to the minister. Now, during your tenure, which was 6 years, did you ever sit on a committee of directors general?
Yes. I was in the committees of directors general, and I chaired the JCPS cluster probably from the time I started until maybe for 4 years, if I were to estimate, and I'm thinking from memory now.
Okay. And were the TRC cases discussed there?
No.
Not during your tenure?
No, not during my tenure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Rangata, following from the clarificatory questions, any re-examination?
No re-examination, Chair.
Thank you.
We're good, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sindane, thank you very much for having come to give evidence before this commission. as you have heard, there is an intimation that there will be an application for your cross-examination. We expect you to return to this commission for such cross-examination on a date that will be arranged with you. For now, you are excused as a witness.
Thank you.
Mr. Siminya?
Chair, I see it's 11 o'clock. Otherwise would have asked to stand down so that we have the next witness virtually prepared for it.
Yes. We need 10 minutes, eh? 15. 15 minutes. 15. We'll take a tea adjournment until 11:20.
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Siminya?
Chair, we beg leave to call Mr. Madonsela.
Mr. Matonsela? Good morning.
Greetings to you. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to the commissioners, evidence leaders, and representatives of the families of the victims present.
Yes. Are you going to give your evidence under oath or affirmation?
Under oath, Chairperson.
Do you swear that the evidence you will give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Nalane?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Still morning, Mr. Matonsela. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Senior Counsel.
Mr. Matonsela, thank you for having availed yourself to assist the Commission with its work. You have given an affidavit in summary of the evidence that you want to give in this commission. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And your affidavit is numbered from page 2349 until 2356.
Correct.
And at page 2354, there's a signature that appears on that page. Can you see that?
I can. Yes.
And whose signature is that?
It is my signature.
Thank you, Mr. Matonsela. So do you confirm and stand by the contents of this affidavit?
I do.
Thank you. Before we start with the issues that you have been called upon to assist the Commission, I would like you to briefly tell us about your station in life currently and your brief professional and academic background, if you so please. You have stated in paragraph 1 of your affidavit that you are an adult male presently serving as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic, and that you are accredited to the Kingdom of the Netherlands and stationed at the head of mission at the Embassy of the Republic in The Hague, the Kingdom of Netherlands. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Can you explain what is an Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary?
Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary is a diplomat who's appointed to represent the head of state. And it is an ambassador who is empowered to sign treaties and conclude agreements on behalf of the South African state.
Thank you. For purposes of this commission, you are being asked to, in your capacity as a former Director General of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, you understand that?
Yes, I do.
In paragraph 3, you deal briefly with your tenure at the department, but I also see that you've been very humble not to detail your long service in the public service before you became DG of Justice. Can you briefly tell us your various stations that you held in the public service over the number of years?
But first of all, you asked about my background. I am an attorney of the High Court, admitted to practice as such, but I have since placed my name on the non-practicing role, having joined government in 2021. My first station in government was that of Chief State Law Advisor in the Office of the Premier of the Northwest Province, where I stayed for a very short time, following which I then joined the Department of Social Development in 2021. In 2023, I was appointed Director General of the Department of Social Development, a position I held until the end of September 2012, essentially a tenure spanning over 9.5 years. Following that, I was then, by presidential proclamation, transferred to the Department of Cooperative Governance, which is part of the Ministry of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, where I also served as Director General of that department. My tenure there spanned over a period of about 3.5 years, from the 1st of October 2012 up to the last day of April 2016. Whereupon, by presidential proclamation, I was then transferred to the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, where my tenure started on the 1st of May 2016, which was finally terminated on the 30th of April 2020, whereupon I was appointed as a full-time employee of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. But prior to that appointment, if I may add, just for completeness, on the 8th of October 2019, I commenced my diplomatic training, having been invited to do so by the Director General of the Department of Cooperative Governance and, I beg your pardon, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, pursuant to an agreement between the President and the Minister of that department, that I be invited to assume the role of a diplomat and to represent the South African state as ambassador. And my training as an ambassador or head of mission designate ran from the 8th of October 2019 until the end of January 2020, whereupon I then transited to the Netherlands, where I'm currently stationed as ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tansena. Now you also say that you have been asked by the chief evidence leaders to come and assist the commission. You deal with that at paragraph 5 of your affidavit, that you have been asked to assist with information that you might have in relation to the terms of reference of the Commission of Inquiry, which is meant to inquire into whether and to what extent and by whom efforts were made to influence or pressure members of the South African Police or the National Prosecuting Authority to stop investigating TRC cases. That's what you say in paragraphs 5 and 6, correct?
I confirm, yes.
Yeah, just for completeness sake, you are not in any manner, form or shape implicated in any wrongdoing. And all that the Commission is asking you is just to complete the loop, because we are dealing here with institutions over which the department you worked with had some oversight, the National Prosecuting Authority. You understand that? You seem to be muted.
You are inaudible, Mr. Madonsel.
I beg your pardon.
Thank you. We can hear you now.
Yes, I do understand.
Thank you. And then to be more specific, what you've been requested to come and help the Commission is set out in your affidavit at paragraph 7, and it relates more in particular to your role as Director General of the department at the relevant time. 7A says the nature and extent of my functions and responsibilities while serving as Director General of DOJ and CD in relation to TRC matters. You understand that?
Correct.
And also the manner in which you supported the ministry in the conduct of day-to-day affairs concerning such matters, including oversight, coordination, advisory, administrative, or decision-making functions discharged by you, and the extent of your involvement in the management, investigation, prosecution, monitoring, or administration of such matters, together with the steps undertaken by you in the discharge of your duties, and any further information that might assist the Commission in comprehending the nature of your role, responsibilities, and involvement in matters pertaining to TRC cases during your tenure of office. That's what you've been asked to assist, correct?
That is correct.
Now, we have had the benefit of hearing from at least 2 witnesses who were holding the position that you also held. We had the evidence of Mr. Advocate Mashabane, who succeeded you as the DG. We also had today the evidence of Ms. Sindani, who was your predecessor before you took over. Is correct, Ms. Sindani preceded you?
That is correct.
And Mr. Mashabane followed after you?
That is also correct.
So we've got an idea in broad terms about the functions of the DG of the Department of Justice, which you worked on. In paragraph 9, perhaps you can read that, where you deal with your role and operations as far as TRC cases are concerned. You can read paragraph 9 and explain what you mean there.
Let me read. As regards the manner in which I supported the ministry in its day-to-day operations concerning TRC, I state that the NPA fell under the exclusive management and direction of the National Director of Public Prosecutions. Save that the budget of the NPA formed part of the vote administered through the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. It is my understanding and belief that the NPA functioned as an independent body, possessing exclusive authority in respect of prosecutorial and investigative decision making.
Thank you. And you preface that with your paragraph 8, where you say, in respect of my role and responsibilities as Director General of the DOJ and CD in relation to TRC matters, I respectfully say that I had no direct role whatsoever in relation to such matters. Do you confirm that?
I do.
And then as far as paragraph 10, you deal with the reporting relationship between the NDPP and yourself in your capacity as DG. What we understand is that the department would be in charge of the functions of justice and coastal development, and within that there would be other organs of state like the NPA. And you as a DG would have some relationship professionally and accounting-wise with the NDPP office. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You say at paragraph 10, perhaps just read the first paragraph, the paragraph, the first sentence.
Consequently, there existed no reporting relationship between the NDPP and myself in my capacity as Director General. Nevertheless, in my capacity as Accounting Officer of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, I bore certain responsibilities in relation to the financial administration of the NPA, and in that regard, rendered such support as was appropriate in assisting the NPA in its engagements before Parliament for the purpose of securing adequate budgetary allocations, particularly with a view to restoring institutional capacity diminished during a period commonly referred to as state capture.
we have discussed with both Ms. Sindani and Advocate Mashabane Section 36 of the National Prosecuting Authority Act, which deals with expenditure of the prosecuting authority. And as we understand it, you were the accounting officer of the department, correct?
That is correct.
And
by extension, I was also the accounting officer of the National Prosecuting Authority.
Thank you. And that derives in part from Section 36 of the NPA Act. And I'll read to you a portion. Section 36(2) says, the Department of Justice must, in consultation with the National Director, prepare the necessary estimate of revenue and expenditure of the prosecuting authority. And 3, the Director General Justice shall, subject to the Public Finance Management Act, A, be charged with the responsibility of accounting for state monies received or paid out for or on account of the prosecuting authority, and B, cause the necessary accounting and other related records to be kept. So that would have been the function that you fulfilled, as you call it, accounting officer for the NPA as well.
That is correct.
So in other words, the National Director is not an of public prosecutions, although he or she heads the NPA, but they are not the accounting officer. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And your relation with the NDPP would be insofar as you perform the administrative accounting officer roles, correct?
That is correct. Although, if I may add, there's been in practice, there's very little contact between the NDPP and the DG because of the existence of an office called Chief Executive Officer of the NPA, who was a person responsible for the day-to-day management of the affairs of the NPA.
So in discharging your accounting officer duties, you would liaise with the CEO of the NPA.
That is correct.
Thank you. And then as far as the NDPP is concerned, how would you relate to the NDPP?
Well, occasionally, to the extent that the NDPP may take specific interest in a particular matter relating to the administration, the NDPP would, in addition to the CEO, also engage with me, especially in relation to matters regarding the budget.
Thank you. You then go on in paragraph 11 to deal with you not having had any statutory authority or oversight in respect of the investigative or prosecutorial functions of the NPA. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, just read paragraph. Yeah, read paragraph 11 and talk to it if you prefer.
During my tenure as Director General, I possessed no statutory authority of oversight in respect of the investigative or prosecutorial functions of the NPA in relation to any matter under its consideration, including TRC cases. Nor did I at any time seek to exercise any such authority, whether directly or indirectly. Furthermore, I did not participate in, nor was I involved with any management, administrative, coordinative, monitoring, advisory, investigative, prosecutorial, or decision-making functions pertaining to the work of the NPA.
Okay. And then in paragraph 12, you deal with the relationship between the minister and the NDPP and the reporting lines. What do you say about that, paragraph 12?
The NDPP reported directly to the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services.
Okay, and you're saying concerning affairs and activities of the National Prosecuting Authority, you say to the best of your recollection, you're not present, nor did you attend any meetings convened for the purpose of such reporting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Insofar as there may have been specific cases which are in the public domain, for instance, the inquest into the death of the late Ahmed Timor, would you have come across any such information?
I do not have any specific recollection of what specific role, or rather whether I have come across any such information. But I would imagine that insofar as any services may be required from, or support may be required from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development in supporting any work relating to any inquest, that any communication relating to that, to the extent that it implicates the resources of the department, may have gone via my desk.
But if you had anything to do with inquests, it would be purely on an administrative function and role. Is that correct?
Oh yes, certainly. The decisions to prosecute or to even open an inquest, if you like, would already have been done by the time any request is made to me to provide any support.
All right. And one of the other cases which has been in the public eye and also in a way would have some impact or on the work of this commission is what is known as the Rodriguez case, where the courts made findings that there may have been interference with prosecutions at some point in time. Would you have any knowledge of that case?
Not specifically.
Thank you. You then deal in paragraph 13 about any information which you think might be of assistance to the Commission. Can you read that and comment if you can?
Yes, paragraph 13 reads, I am not possessed of, nor do I exercise control over any further information capable of assisting this Honorable Commission concerning decisions to proceed with, suspend, discontinue, or otherwise affect the investigation or prosecution of TRC cases during the period of my tenure as Director General of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Matters of that nature lay wholly beyond the scope of my duties and responsibilities.
Thank you, Ms. Madonsela. Is there anything else that you think might be of assistance to the Commission, which you want to bring to the attention of the Commission?
I do not at this stage, Evidence Leader.
Chair, those are the questions for the witness.
Thank you, Mr. Nalani. Ms. Moroka?
Clarification
Thank you. Mr. Lukele?
Thank you, Commissioner. No questions.
Anyone online?
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Ntambeleni, no questions.
Thank you, Chair. No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Vani?
Thank you, Chair. Just a few questions, clarification. Ambassador, I first want to check.
I cannot hear the person speaking now.
Let's just do a sound check. Can you hear me now? Testing.
I can hear now.
Thank you, Ambassador. Firstly, Ambassador, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to assist the Commission today. Like the evidence leaders, we make no allegations against you in respect to the terms of reference of this Commission. My questions relate to the cases referred to by my learned friend, the Timor inquest and the Rodriguez matter. So just a few questions. In relation to reopening inquests, in terms of Section 17A of the Inquest Act, ministerial authority just pausing while a mic is on. Okay, a new mic has been given to me. Ambassador, is this clearer for you?
It's much clearer, sir.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Let me rewind in case you didn't hear previously. When it comes to the reopening of inquests in terms of Section 17A of the Inquest Act, the Minister of Justice has to authorize the reopening and then the allocation of a judge to hear that inquest. I assume you're familiar with that provision?
In general terms, yes, I would say.
Yes. And would I also be right in saying that just as a matter of administrative procedure, such a request from the National Director of Public Prosecutions would come to your desk and then would be forwarded to the Minister?
Ordinarily, yes.
Yes. So there were at least three inquests that were authorized during your tenure as Director General. That would be the Timor inquest that you've already spoken about, and then also the Neil Agate and Hussein Haffajee inquests. We know that the Minister of Justice did authorize all three inquests, and we're grateful for those authorizations. Do you have a recollection of also signing off on those inquests?
I do not, I'm afraid.
No problem.
But if I had any opportunity to have sight of the documentation, that might have jogged my memory. But at this stage, from where I'm sitting, I'm afraid not.
Yes. Well, we do have a document from the record which indicates that both you and Minister Masutu signed off on the reopening of the Timor inquest, the historic Timor inquest, which took place in 2017. Were you aware that the legal representatives for the families had to place the NDPP on terms in order to get that inquest reopened?
I cannot claim to know. I have no full recollection of the facts. But I am happy that those inquests were reopened, and to the extent that any documentation relating thereto went past my desk, I look at that with great pride, because it's something that needed to be done.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And in fact, the reopening of those inquests, we believe, opened the door to further truth and justice being pursued. In relation to the other inquest, that of Neil Agate and Hussein Haffajee, were you aware that during 2019, the lawyers for those families had to place the Minister of Justice on terms in order to have those inquests reopened?
I have no specific recollection. I'm not even sure exactly when in 2019, because there was a time when I was already committed as a trainee diplomat in the Department of International Relations and Cooperation.
Noted. Yes, you may not have been present at that time. Then lastly, let's turn to the Rodriguez case. And as my learned friend for the evidence leaders indicated, that civil litigation arose out of the Timol inquest because the Judge Motley in the Timol inquest recommended certain charges be preferred against Mr. Rodriguez. And when he was charged, he approached the High Court for a permanent stay of prosecution. Were you aware that in that matter, the NPA admitted that it had been subject to interference in respect of the TRC cases?
I'm not aware of that.
And were you aware that the Minister of Justice, who was a respondent in that matter, did not contest the position of the NPA?
I'm not aware of that. I wasn't privy to any such conversations. Presumably those would have happened in the reporting meetings between the Minister and the National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Thank you, Your Excellency. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Van.
Chair, can I ask for a question for clarification?
Yes, you
following
may.
that question? Mr. Madonsela,
Yes,
is it on?
Commissioner.
You have switched
Putin-
off. You have
Switched on.
Switch on.
Yes.
Yes.
Generational gap, Chair. You've been asked a series of questions about things that you essentially do not have any personal knowledge of. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you do not even know why the minister, in the last question that you were asked, what she did, what he or she did, and why she did that.
I have no personal knowledge
Thank you, Chair.
whatsoever.
Thank you, Ms. Moroka.
Honorable Madonsela,
Yes, Chairperson.
it's Commissioner Gabriel.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Yes, that's the disadvantage of being connected through technology
We're
from
just
afar.
happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
During your tenure, did you sit on a committee of directors general?
Yes, I did. I did sit on I think it's called the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster, JCPS.
Okay. And you've made it quite clear in your affidavit that as DG, you had no role to play in NPA prosecutorial decision-making.
That is correct.
So presumably neither did the other DGs who
I would be
sat with
surprised
you
if they
on this
did.
committee.
No, definitely not.
Okay. And during your tenure, were the TRC cases ever discussed at this
At the
committee?
JCPS cluster? No, not to my recollection.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Nalane?
No questions for the ambassador. Thank you.
Ambassador Madonsela, we thank you for your time in coming to give evidence before this commission. You are now excused as a witness.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. and to all the commissioners. Thank you. And the evidence leaders.
Thank you.
These proceedings are adjourned until tomorrow at 10 o'clock.